introduce yourself, please?
I am Quiara Alegria Hudes, playwright and mischief maker and Philadelphia native. Central High 254.
So, you were in Philadelphia Young Playwrights when you were younger. How did that influence your writing? How was the experience?
I was taking a creative writing class at Central, and we had an assignment to write a 10-minute play. And after we wrote it, we submitted them to the festival at Philadelphia Young Playwrights, and mine won, so it got staged. And I was actually set to, that was my sophomore year in high school, and so for my junior year, at the end of my sophomore year, I was supposed to move out of Philadelphia, go to college early. It was going to be a slightly disruptive time in my life, and because that happened, I decided to stay in Philadelphia to kind of continue forward with the structure of my life, and it was a pivot point for me. It changed everything, actually. I think it was the start of me taking writing really seriously as a tool that could affect change in my own life at that point, and then by junior and senior year, using it as a tool to also bring people together and do change in other ways. So some pretty real ways it changed me.
So you're musical. You wrote a musical. How big a hand did you have in the actual music side of it?
Oh, well, I only wrote the book, which is the most confusing way on earth of saying the script of something. But it's funny because, especially with In the Heights, my collaborator, Lynn, who was doing music and lyrics, we worked in the room nonstop. It's almost like cooking a soup with someone, where I might have more familiarity with the vegetables and he might have more familiarity with the protein. But actually, as we start tasting as we go along, I'll say a little more chicken, or he'll say, no, we need some dill. And we started really tampering with each other's recipes and stirring it around. So he would steal from my scenes all the time. I would go and write what I thought was going to be the most brilliant scene in the show, and then he'd come back the next morning, and when we'd get together into the room again, he'd say, yeah, so I turned that into a song, so you no longer get to keep that. And so, I would then exact my own revenge by taking his song and cannibalizing it for a scene. We refer to ourselves as cannibals a lot, because we would eat from ourselves, we would eat from each other's work. And what ends up happening over time is that there becomes a seamlessness between the book and the music and the lyrics that people have asked me when I've gone around and spoken about it, done talkbacks after the show, different tour spots, who came up with that idea? And it might be an idea they're talking about in the book. It might be a staging. It might be in the lyrics. And a lot of times I can remember, and a lot of times I cannot remember. Because I'll think, oh, Lynn came up with that. And then I'll be going to sleep that night and saying, no, I remember. The music director in the room had this chord idea, which made me write this line. So, it just creates a facility between all the collaborators.
Cool. So do you have any advice for aspiring young playwriters?
Just to be insatiable about writing, seeing as much as possible, and reading as much as possible, and find your fellow mischief makers, because here we are in the Paula Vogel's Playwriting Bootcamp, and she said earlier that we don't write alone, and especially as a young writer, I found that to be really important. I would find my fellow friends who thought they were writers. Guess what? They were also going to be actors in my play, and we were going to produce my play together. And I, in exchange, would create costumes for their play, or I would help stay after school and staple their poetry chapbook, or So I think producing oneself and producing your friends, create that circle that will make your work happen. It will put your work out there with other people.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.